My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. First up on the very short fight card, UFC 260, we have Jared Gooden versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov. So this is the weakest link in the Nurmagomedov family, if you will, but he's still a heavy favorite. He's still a grapple first style, and he's still a relentless takedown artist. So I'll go to you first, Nick. What are your thoughts on this fight? Do you think this goes the way of the heavy grappler or the more well-rounded Jared Gooden?
Well, I've seen both fight, obviously. Gooden is more of a striker, I'd say, than anything. His last fight versus Angelo Bodetti, he got outworked, he got outclassed, but he still looked pretty good, and he was still in it at moments. Abubakar, I feel, is the better fighter. I would pick him to win, but it seems like he's beaten some really good fighters in the past. I believe he has a win over Doomsday, and Matt Secor, who's a good grappler, and a few other really good guys. But he has moments where he slips up, and he like has mental lapses, and he gets caught and he gets finished. So for me, I'm not putting either one in my lineup, but if I had to pick, I would pick Abubakar.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, in my view, Abubakar Nurmagomedov fights similar to Khabib, where he will relentlessly work for that takedown. He has great top control, but he's actually, I don't want to say weak because he's not weak, but his grappling isn't as good as Khabib's. He has been submitted. He gets put in bad positions occasionally. And to your point, it's almost like he has mental lapses here and there. I really want to pick Jared Gooden. I just don't think he's crafty enough, right? He's a good striker. He's a decent grappler. If he was a better grappler and a little more crafty of a veteran, I would pick him. But I think Nurmagomedov gets it done. But I'm 100% with you where neither one of these guys are in my lineup because I see it going one of two ways. Either Abubakar just takes Jared Gooden down and holds him down and beats him up, or Jared Gooden can pull something off, with a big knee or an uppercut on the way in. And either one of those, I'm not going to bank on that. I'm not going to spend $9,000 for what will probably be a boring decision, and I'm not going to spend $7,200 on a Hail Mary. But Dan, what are your thoughts here? Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. I think Abubakar Nurmagomedov is Khabib's brother. He's got big shoes to fill, right? So he's got the same style, trains at the same camp, but the reality is he's won one fight in his last four. His last fight was 2019, which may be a good thing. Maybe he's been improving this whole time. Talking to the lapses in judgment you guys were mentioning, he lost his UFC debut to David Zawada, who I think everybody thought he was going to beat. He made a mistake, got triangled. He has a draw to Bohan Velik. I don't even know how to say his last name, but I trained with him for a lot of years at ATT back in the day. Really good guy. We were both young, up and coming at the time, and we actually stayed at the same hotel together for probably, I don't know, a year or so. We were both down here training, doing camps. So it's just interesting, he's got the Nurmagomedov last name, but he hasn't really won fights the way his brother does. So,
are they cousins?
Is it his brother or cousin?
I think they're cousins.
Yeah, they're cousins.
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody said dad last night. Anyways, he's their Nurmagomedov. So he's in the family. He trains at the same camp. Who does Khabib have a brother?
I have no idea.
Yes, he does.
Usman. I think Usman is his brother. Usman.
Oh all right, well, there's too many of them. They're all good. They're all good wrestlers. They all have similar styles, I think. But anyways, what I saw on tape is he's an unbelievable wrestler. But outside of that, it's tough to say what he's going to do. Jared Gooden, on the other hand, very good striker, athletic, explosive, throws heat, but he definitely leaves himself open a little bit. Normally, I would say he leaves himself open for punches, but in this case, he's probably going to leave himself open for a takedown. His last fight against Alan Juban, it was a close fight. You know, they went back and forth, but he got pieced up a little bit by Juban. There wasn't really much wrestling involved. So this will be a totally different style fight. The last fight I saw that he fought against a guy, I couldn't find the video, but he fought Mike Graves, another guy I trained with a lot, who was a talented kid and a good wrestler, and he lost that fight. From what I read online, the wrestling was his problem. So I think Khabib's Khabib. I've called him every name in the family now. Brother, cousin, Khabib. No, I think Nurmagomedov's wrestling is going to be a bit too much. Could get interesting on the feet, to be honest, because Gooden does throw some heat, but I'm not touching this fight for DraftKings. I think Nurmagomedov at $9,000 or whatever he is, even if he does win, it's going to be takedown, control, end of the round, potentially. Takedown, control, end of the round. So probably won't be a ton of points. So I'm not touching this from a DraftKings standpoint, but for my pick, I will definitely go with Nurmagomedov, the brother cousin of Khabib.
Well, and I really wanted to go with Jared Gooden. So I think we're mostly on the same page. And I'll go to you in a second, Jacob. I really wanted to go with Jared Gooden. I haven't seen that takedown defensive or the scrambling to pop right back up. If he was the type of guy that would throw heat, get taken down, pop right back up, I would take that chance. And I would go as far as to say, and we'll get into this in the DraftKings breakdown, I'd go as far to say as Nurmagomedov is almost a trap in DraftKings. I think a ton of people are going to scoop him up because they're going to see the last name, they're going to see the high price point and assume it's a lock. And a very high likelihood he's going to win, but I don't think the point total is going to be high. So Jacob, what are your thoughts here? And tell me how he's in your lineup 3 times.
He is in my lineup, and it is because of the grappling. But it's a Nurmagomedov, and he does what they do, and he does grapple, and he is very good at it. He's obviously not on the level of Khabib, but he is still very good at it. In a DraftKings lineup where takedowns score points, I think Jared is athletic enough to kind of get out of some of those positions. He's a little stiff. He definitely looks the part. He's a little stiff. I want to know how tall he is because SureDog has him listed at 6'4", making 170. And so I think the UFC website has him listed at 6 foot. So now, those are just long legs for Nurmagomedov to grab onto. I did find it interesting in Nurmagomedov's record here. So he starts off in the regional circuit, a lot of TKOs, a lot of submissions. He moves to World Series of Fighting, a step up. Then those start turning into decisions. He has 4 decisions. He goes to the PFL, and that's when he loses and gets a draw. Then he goes to the UFC, and he loses. So it seems like as the level's creeping up, his performances are kind of dipping down. He got caught in a submission last time. Jared Gooden's a brown belt. With that said, I just think that Nurmagomedov is good enough to control the fight and score me a lot of points in DraftKings. And with this card, there's not a lot of places to go on this card because it's such it's a limited card. So he got my $9,000.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for Sir. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, this may be the boost that Nurmagomedov needs, or this just may blow out his candle and he'll have to take a step back down. The
one thing I will say is that not fighting since 2019, that's always like, what's he been doing, right? You got to assume he's training with Khabib, training with those guys, getting better. So we may see a different fighter out there. So not a bad pick, Jacob.
Before you go, check out the description below. In there, we have links to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and more importantly, to our DraftKings League. Check out the league, join the league, participate in the contests, and as we get going and as you start winning, we're going to start handing out gift cards and participating and doing things like that. So check those out. Every week, there are drops on every fight card. So make sure you check out this channel and our social media on Saturday before the fights start so that you have our most updated lineups and picks.